listening to the Tricorder Transmissions.
Shore Leave, Episode 33, the 2017 Chicago Star Trek Convention.
Just what the doctor ordered. Right, doctor? I couldn't have prescribed better.
Your starship has entered space dock and you've once again been granted shore leave. I am Jeff Hewlett, and in my co-captain seat is the best co-host in any timeline. The spectacular Heather Barker is here.
So are we on Ryza or Wrigley's Pleasure Planet?
We are actually on both because we now have the new Spore transport system from Discovery at our disposal.
Shh, spoilers!
Hey, well, they listen to it. They watch the show. They listen to Disco Trek. There's no spoilers.
People may not know what Disco Trek is, though.
They have to know. They're Shore Leave subscribers. They know what we're doing.
I hope so.
They keep track of
We
us.
do a new podcast about Star Trek Discovery called Disco_Trek on Twitter.
And it's a lot of fun. And it's us and members of the convention community and our family. So yeah, and new ones every single week. It's a heck of a lot of fun. All right, guys. So we also, just before we get started with the show, I just want to throw it out there. We do have a Patreon page. You can find it at patreon.com/Tricorder Transmissions or by visiting our website and clicking the Patreon link if you like what we do here on any of our shows. That includes Disco Trek. Please think about helping us out. We're very close to releasing our reward list. We have some really cool ideas, including, by the way, this is going to happen tonight, early access to unedited versions of our shows as soon as they are recorded. So this show will be available to our Patreon supporters many, many days before it's actually released in an unedited form. So if you want to hear us riffing before the beginning of the show, you should be a Patreon supporter so you can hear Andy and Jesse and me and Heather goofing around. It's a lot of fun. So a quick shout out, by the way, to our new patrons, Frankie Dawn Engelbert, Robert Reyes, I hope I'm saying this right, Thad Haight, and Nick Cook. Thanks so much for being members of our Trek family and supporting our show. We really, really appreciate it. It was really cool of you guys to do that. So super cool. Let's see. So tonight, what are we talking about? We're talking about the 2017 Creation Star Trek Convention that took place in Chicago. And here to tell us about their experience are two returning guests who've been on Shore Leave before and perhaps other shows. First up is the drummer for the official house band of the Chicago Convention. That would be 5-year mission. Back for his 26th appearance on the Tricorder Transmissions, the mythic figure himself, Mr. Andy Fark.
Hi, kids. How's it going? First-time listener. 26-time participant.
The guy who looks strangely like Barney Fife.
Shut your hole. If you
And if anybody hasn't seen that picture, go to Andy's Facebook page. You will not be disappointed.
Oh, God.
So our second guest tonight is one of our co-administrators of the Unofficial Star Trek Las Vegas Convention Facebook group and a member of our beloved Star Trek Convention family, the one and only Jesse Oquendo returns to the show. How are you, Jesse?
Doing great. How are you guys?
Wonderful.
I am so happy to be here. I really am. I miss you guys.
Yeah, we miss you too. This is a nice little reunion between conventions. We get to do these shows together. And rumor has it you're going on the Star Trek cruise again this year.
I will be going on a Star Trek cruise again on Voyage 2 officially, and I am almost sold on Voyage 1 now that the prices are going down.
Wow.
So
Can you go on both voyages?
You can go on both voyages. I would be in a small minority. I think there's a handful of people who are doing it.
How long is the cruise? How long is the Voyage 1?
It's 10 days. It's the 1st through the 11th, I want to say. And then you come back on the morning of the 11th, and then Voyage 2 starts on the 11th.
Wow. So you're going to be like 20 days cruising?
Oh, yeah.
So you're just going to stay in the same room? They're not even going to clean it up? You're just going to stay there?
No, I actually have if I go the first week, I'll have my own room because I couldn't. It's too late to convince anyone else to come. But the second week, I'm going with one of my Star Trek Las Vegas buddies from Calgary. So I'll have a roommate the second week, but not the first week, which is scary because me without a roommate at a convention type style thing is kind of scary. No one's watching me.
No adults taking care of you?
No adult supervision.
Ice cream for dinner.
Oh man. So, before we jump into the content of this show, since we've got you here, Andy, I know you guys in the band in 5-Year Mission are getting really close to launching your Kickstarter campaign for the Year 4 album. I know a lot of us are looking forward to that, but if anybody's not familiar with what you guys do and what you're going to be kickstarting, you want to fill us in on what people can look forward to in the near future?
Well, we are releasing the 4th year, well, what technically would be the 4th year of the show, starting in between the 2nd and the 3rd season of Star Trek, since we are, in fact, writing a song for every episode of Star Trek, the original series. But if you don't know that by now, where the hell have you been? This one is going to be spanning from A Private Little War all the way through For His Head is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky. And we are almost done. We have a couple little backing vocals here and there. I think a couple keyboard parts to record. And then we still, all 5 of us, have to gather around microphones to record Day of the Dove, which is a follow-up to, if you're familiar with it, Mike's Trouble with Tribble song, which was the like the Beastie Boys style rap song. So you'll get to hear my mellifluous tones rapping again.
Very cool. Are we going to get an Andy Fark penned track on this record?
Not on this one. I'm actually finishing up one from our last Kickstarter right now. Somebody requested that one of our tiers last time was we will re-record any song that we've done in like a completely different style.
Oh, wow,
and for some reason the band chose me to do that, so I am recording the alternate take of City on the Edge of Forever.
Sweet.
So that might get released to the public. I'm thinking so, but I still have to go and record it. It's all written, but it's going to be something way different than we've ever done before. So
sounds very intriguing. So are there any thoughts about what's going to happen after Year 4? Are you guys going to hit up another EP, or are you going to straight to Year 5?
We've talked about it. We've talked about doing like kind of a mock. Well, in the punk rock community, there's always been like split 7 inches, which is like 2 bands go in on and just pay for like one album, and then so one band on one side, another band on the other side. We've talked about doing a Cloudminders and Lights of Zetar split EP, and basically each one of those episodes would represent a certain band, but we would sing about just that episode. So it's a kind of a goofy, weird little idea we've been toying around with, but that's one. And then, you never know. We might just move straight on to Year 5. Who knows?
Interesting. Who'd be the band on the other side of the album?
Oh no, that's it. One band would be the Lights of Zetar, and the other band would be the Cloudminders.
Oh, okay. I thought you might be partnering up with another Trek band.
Oh no. What other Trek band? Come on.
That's what I was going to say. Who else is out there?
Well, we did play with a band called the Spockers not all that long ago. They're from I believe Louisville, Kentucky. It's Louisville or Lexington, one of the two. But they're more along the lines of like a Warp 11-ish type thing. Look them up. I mean, they kind of span like the whole like Star Trek genre. Like they have a song about red shirts and Cisco and things like that. So it's the only Star Trek band doing what we do is us.
Yes. Yeah, and no one does it as well as 5-Year Mission, guys. If you haven't heard 5-Year Mission before, as Andy said, where have you been? You've been under a rock, stranded on an asteroid somewhere. 5yearmission.net. Check them out. Great band, and hopefully they will be back next year as the house band at the Las Vegas convention. Creation, if you're listening, I don't know what you're thinking, going this every other year stuff. Just bite the bullet and just go 5-Year Mission every year. I don't know what the deal is with that.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we're going to be talking about this Chicago convention tonight, and this happened. It was a few weeks ago, right, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a few weeks ago from this recording, and 5-Year Mission was the house band, and Jesse was in attendance. I guess, why don't we start off with just a general idea of what this convention was like. A lot of the people who listen to this show I know are Las Vegas convention attendees. So to give them some context about what this convention was like, you guys want to quickly jump into what you thought in comparison this convention was? Is it bigger? Is it a smaller? Is it high, low key? What is it? Jesse, what do you think?
I would say it was the weekend of October 14th this past year. And I had been to one of these other creation conventions, so I kind of knew what to expect, and I did. So when it's not in Vegas, I would don't anticipate a huge crowd. You don't anticipate that all the conference rooms are taken. It really is smaller, more intimate, and that's what you get. You don't have the same immersion into Star Trek because they don't have nearly as much stuff up, if you will, like the Borg cubes and all the photo ops, and there's nothing like that. What you do have is kind of more intimate interactions with other fans and with the guests as well. The guests seem to be more accessible, more able to talk. Not as it's not as
frenzied.
Yes, it's not crazy. It's not frenzied. You're not shoved. You're not shoved through photo ops or autographs quite as fast as you are in a Vegas convention. So there's the good and the bad with it all. There's also kind of a little more difficult time finding good things to eat. Getting to the place if you're not staying at the hotel, it's not just across the street type of thing. So you Uber there, that kind of stuff. But overall, I had a great time, and I was happy to go. I had to get my 5-year mission fixed somewhere, so I went there.
Nice. Now I know, Andy, you spent the majority of your time on the main stage playing. But what are your overall impressions of the con from your perspective?
I mean, it was good. I mean, it was really well run. I think it went really, really smooth. Nobody seemed to have any issues with ticketing or photo ops or anything like that. But yeah, like Jesse said, it's way more intimate. You get a lot more, FaceTime and talk time with like the stars and everything. So I mean, I was outside, just talking to like Michael Dorn and LeVar Burton, like in between panels and things like that. So it's just like, hey, we're just hanging out, But yeah, it's a lot of focus on the vendors, what few of them there are. So yeah, it was kind of a culture shock, having that many huge Star Trek names there, but then seeing just like the intimacy of it all was just kind of odd, really. You can't really compare the two. It's like apples and oranges, pretty much, except it all involves Star Trek, and that it's like the fruit that combines it. If you combine an apple and an orange, you get the Chicago Star Trek convention.
Interesting.
It seemed like they had a pretty big focus on TNG, and that was kind of it. Because I know they had the main TNG panel, which, let me just clarify, no one had to pay extra for, correct?
I did. Yep,
they did.
I was going to say, I was going to say some of those, like the general admission and like the copper and things like that, I know did have to pay. Okay,
but they stuck with that same thing of other people general admission having to pay.
Yeah.
Well, it was $30, and you had to pay because they advertised it differently. They didn't go out and say you get everything with gold and then come back. We didn't have that fiasco with this convention, so
yeah.
Wanted to go.
Yeah, I just looked over the webpage, and it's like this takes place Saturday early evening, included with gold and silver, and then separate for
silver
general
level there. Interesting.
Yeah. But so, I mean, essentially it was the cast, including Frakes, but no Patrick Stewart for this one. And then it kind of seemed like the guests outside of that, it was like Carl Urban, Nichelle Nichols, and then a couple faces that we see, like they have Richard Arnold here as a guest.
But actually, Robert Duncan McNeil was great.
Right, I see him. He's on there. John Billingsley, Bob Picardo, Susie Plaxon, Robin Curtis. Alice Krieg. So,
Yeah, it was very well attended from a entertainment from a celebrity perspective. Like I was oddly amazed that they had, because again, you know, my point of reference was when I went to Dallas, there weren't that many celebrities represented.
right.
And this one was actually had quite a few, and it is because they're it's a TNG 30. So I guess one of the things to keep in mind with the smaller conventions, especially now with Discovery and CBS involved. So the Vegas convention was supported and sponsored by CBS. This one isn't. If you notice, it's not even called the Star Trek convention. It's a continuing voyage because CBS doesn't have a stake in it, if you will. So they focused on TNG 30. You really didn't see anything from Discovery at all.
Nothing.
And it was kind of like the old-fashioned, like there's no new Star Trek type of convention.
That's weird. Man. Yeah, I've heard some rumors post-convention about whether there's actually going to be another Chicago convention next year or not. And
no decision yet.
yeah, we can't confirm and deny anything on this podcast, but it definitely seems like CBS as an entity is focusing on those larger conventions like STLV and
New York City Comic Con.
Yeah, New York City.
You know, they say that a lot about the New Jersey convention too, that they may not do another one next year, but they always do. So we had a continuing mission here last weekend. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend. I think we're going to talk about that on another Shore Leave pretty soon. But they always do that and say, well, you know, we may not do it, and they wait till later to announce it. It's not announced way far in advance like STLV is, like right after the last one ends. You always have to wait until maybe 6 months ahead of time or 5 months ahead of time for them to actually tell you they're going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in Vegas, we have that whole event where if you're gold or captained, you renew your ticket because there's another convention. So you don't have that here. Like there, with Chicago especially, there was no renew your ticket because they didn't know if they were having one. And to be quite honest, it's small. So I actually went. I wouldn't even say I went general admission. I did the Gold Star tickets. And the seat that I got as a Gold Star ticket is comparable to my captain seat in Vegas.
Jeez.
Only, 87% cheaper.
Wow.
So it was, but again, it's so intimate. And the things I don't do in Vegas, I got to do in Chicago, such as the costume contest. It's not that I don't go and see the costume contest, but in Vegas, it's very hard to kind of see all the costumes and take pictures. And when we were in Chicago, they actually gave you like 5 minutes to go look at all the costumes, take as many pictures as you wanted. You were invited up to the stage. You weren't kicked out from taking pictures in front. So it was kind of cool. It's almost like a high school event, where all the parents are going up. It was a lot of fun. And I took a lot of pictures.
I heard that there was some pretty inventive cosplay this year. I think the one that stuck out the most was the the threshold amphibian.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, that was beautiful.
Was awesome. It was awesome. When I saw that, I just about died because I'm a Voyager fan, but I am also on the fence with Threshold. And when I saw that, it's funny, worst episode by everybody's standards, most identifiable cosplay that anyone had. And they had one of those dinosaurs with a yellow shirt, like a Captain Kirk shirt from TOS. And so there was a photo op that they did with that big old dinosaur and the salamander, and it had babies with bows on them.
Yeah, that's what I saw, that they had babies. That's
just absolutely hilarious.
Hilarious. I think there was someone wandering around with the game headset on, which I have to say, Claire did it first.
That's right.
But
there was not just, there were 4. There were It was a team, and they did that as their costume contest. It was 4.
Yeah, there were multiple. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I have to give a little shout out. We did have a Cheerfleet representative there, my friend Astrid. So I
You
just,
did.
yeah,
Yes.
it's nice to see Cheerfleet outside of STOV. Being a member myself, we always appreciate it when we see people out and about. So, was there any other cosplay that stood out to you guys?
Yes.
The Sherlock Data was great.
Oh,
Yeah, that was
saw
good.
that one.
And there was one, you never see this, and actually Trek Core posted my picture with that character Iman did from Star Trek 6, the where she's that big monster and coming out of Ruapente.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so there's someone who did that cosplay, and it's
Wow.
hilarious. She had the cigar and everything. It was a light up cigar, obviously. And I just died because she got up there and she says, "Somebody's got to give this girl a chance."
Oh, God.
And I hunted her down to get her picture. So I was happy to see it tweeted on TrekCore. So TrekCore, thank you very much.
Nice.
Yeah, those are pretty awesome. I guess the other things that were pretty cool is so in Vegas, the autographs, photo ops, all that stuff is kind of hidden, you can't see it. Well, Carl Urban was signing autographs in the middle of the hall of the convention.
Yeah.
And there was, if there was a police telling you not to take pictures, they did a horrible job because all those pictures ended up on the internet of him signing the whole time. And I was like, this is amazing. And then there was a small vendor room, but they had kind of all the autographs in a big hallway. And so, I mean, they didn't care if you were taking their autograph or not. You just got up. I talked to Denise Crosby for a while. I talked to Marina Sirtis for a while, Brent Spiner. They were just all along the wall and kind of waiting to do something. And then the other thing that was exciting was they all kind of dug at each other. So Brent Spiner came in at Carl Urban's panel to give him a hard time. And then Carl Urban
Mr. Irving.
Mr. Irving. He said, I want to hear about that guy you work with, Cucumber. What's his name?
Birkenstock Cucumber.
It was absolutely hilarious, guys. It was, and I don't think you see that you see the camaraderie on the stage, but you don't see kind of them going at each other. And John Billingsley, don't even get me started.
Oh
my God, he was hilarious too. So that stuff was cool. So what else did you guys hear while we were there? Did you hear anything cool or exciting about us?
I didn't hear a lot, but this sounds an awful lot like the New Jersey creation conventions with the people in the hallway, because they have a hallway outside the main stage area, and you can kind of just walk around, and most of the celebs are just kind of sitting at tables, and they're pretty much walk up, and you can kind of talk, and it's a lot more low key.
Oh, very. Yeah, I mean, there's constantly you just walk past that main hallway, and the stars were just talking to each other because they didn't have all that much going on.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point I saw just a pizza box sitting on Brent Spiner's table, and he wasn't there, and I was like, oh, so I guess Brent Spiner's now turned into a pizza.
And there was LeVar Burton and Jonathan Frakes were sitting next to each other, and they kind of just chatted the whole time. Every time you walked by, they were just it was so funny because you just never see it. And Jonathan Frakes got up and he says, LeVar, look. And he was showing him his new shoes, and I'm like, this is just odd.
It's great. I can't remember what I was listening to the other day, or what I was reading, but it was just talking about the fact that the celebrities don't really get to see each other. Most of them don't hang out together in real life. So when they go to these conventions, this is their opportunity to touch base and see each other. Us. So yeah, so I'm not surprised that they're showing each other their new shoes. Okay, so it sounds like outside of the TNG panel, they did do panels with just each of the TNG people, or maybe a couple at a time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All of them had their own panel. Well, with the exception, well, they actually ended up pairing Jonathan Frakes and like Brent Spiner for like the finale of the weekend. But
Okay.
yeah, other than that, everybody had their own solo panel.
That's cool. Well, I will say the one thing that I heard about this convention happened, I believe, during the TNG panel. Andy, you're the one that was there that's that
I was the
received
one
the
that broke the
news.
news.
Yes, that broke the news. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about what happened?
Yeah, it was great. Somebody in the crowd had a question about Jonathan Frakes directing, because somebody asked him about a question about like how many episodes of The Librarians are you doing, and he answered that. And then somebody asked, hey, what about the Orville and Discovery? And he was like, oh yeah, I'm directing an episode of the Orville, and everyone was like, woo! And he was like, yeah, and then I got an episode coming up of Discovery, and there was kind of a mixed reaction because it hadn't quite premiered yet. And he was like, no, you guys are reacting way too early. This is going to be amazing. You are going to love this show. All the craziness, all of the bitching is unfounded, and you guys are going to be blown away by this show. And so immediately I'm backstage. I was like, Frakes just said you guys are stupid. I can't remember my exact tweet, but it was basically me being kind of like a smarmy little butthole and being like, see, you guys complaining about this, Frakes knows what's up. Listen to Frakes. And then of course then he dropped the bomb about how there's going to be a Mirror Universe episode, and people were like, what? So yeah, it was pretty odd. Like the entire crowd just went,
It's not just the crowd there. So like Andy trended on Twitter for quite a while.
Yes, I did.
The guitarist from 5-Year Mission.
Oh my god!
But I was at a Gaze in Space event because they had 2 events that weekend, and then one Saturday. And I kid you not, we all stopped because Twitter came out with this tweet, and we were like, "I think we're gonna see him later." It was absolutely the best. It was just nice to be around. It was nice to know the guy who caused all the commotion. Actually,
oh my god, I was getting DMs left and right on Twitter, just be like, "Can you confirm this? What were his exact words? Blah, blah, blah. What was the crowd reaction? Where were you during all this?"
Yeah, because the press corps was literally one person. So like,
yes.
It's a small convention, guys. What can I say? And just so you guys know, I'm going to the San Francisco one as well, which is going to be smaller, actually, believe it or not, in San Francisco.
Smaller. Well, since you mentioned the Gaze in Space events, do you want to tell us a little bit about them? Because I only knew about one that I thought was going to be like a similar party to Vegas, and then I heard it was actually a little bit different than Vegas. So why don't you be their ambassador for us?
So I've actually started working with them a little bit on a volunteer basis with kind of like I'm going to San Francisco because they're going to have an event there, but they had an event in New Jersey, and they're trying to coincide with the conventions. They're still trying to figure out where we're best to fit, if you will. In Chicago, what they did the first night, it was the normal, like John Billingsley came out. They didn't have a lot of the celebrities, of course, that you had in Vegas. So
just Billingsley.
Yeah, just Billingsley. And they had a decent crowd. I think it was like 30 people. And then the bar that they were at actually loved that crowd so much. They said, hey, can you guys come back tomorrow? So they invited them back free of charge, to come to the bar. Mind you, the bar doesn't even get started until midnight, and these events are like 6 to 11. So it gives them a little extra, time to sell their stuff. But the second night, we actually went into billiards room, and we did trivia. We did Star Trek trivia with prizes and stuff with another good crowd. And that was kind of fun too. And so the whole, it really depends. I think when they get to the city, like San Francisco, they're planning for obviously, and how many people show up, how many people sign up, and the flexibility of the venue that they get to be in. So it's not just about going to a bar or watching shows or doing a lot of dancing, although that's included, obviously, because you're going to that environment. But it is kind of get together. And I know San Francisco, they have quite a few more celebrities already scheduled to come out. The Not Visitor, obviously, is a big supporter. They just got Hannah Hatay to confirmed. So, each, and there's always surprises. You just never know what's going to happen. So,
yeah.
It's a good little group, and it's getting bigger. And again, it's just to celebrate, diversity and equality, and spawned from our first gay couple on a Star Trek show, and then from there, it's just kind of given people the ability to express everything that they want to express in a safe environment.
Yep.
That's awesome. By the way, really quick, I want to give a quick shout out. I was talking to Dan Devey the other day. From what I understand, they did this for the most recent Gays in Space, and they're going to be doing this for each of the subsequent Gays in Space. They're having, if you can attend that and you want to contribute to Gays in Space, they're selling tickets that are just supporter tickets, and you can go on the Eventbrite site for Gays in Space, and you can buy in different increments, different amounts of money to support the cause. And when you do that, I think. What he was saying, I think you get your name up on a projector screen or something at the party. Jesse, is that what happened at Chicago, or?
Well, it's he started it. He started it right before Chicago, so we didn't get any. But that's what it would have happened if we would have gotten tickets. But yeah, there's always a presentation type of thing running, and that's exactly what he's going to do is get those names. If he can get pictures, he'll do that, and just kind of, you'll be there virtually, and I had talked to him about maybe doing some Facebook Live or something, for that group as well. So we'll see. It's exciting. I've never been on the ground floor of anything like this. I've been a volunteer and stuff before, but this is kind of exciting just because it brings like Star Trek, and anything that brings Star Trek into it, I'm in. So I love it.
And talking to him, I guess they're filing for a 501c3 nonprofit status right now too.
Yeah. Yep, they're getting there little by little. So and I just I think they're also at some point going to start expanding outside of the Star Trek conventions as well. So like Dragon Con and all the other. I don't know if he's looking at Comic-Con like San Diego or New York City. It's a little daunting. I won't even go, let alone. But the other thing, the other kind of conventions out there that have a Star Trek track type of thing is what he's looking at.
I mean, really, you could just expand it to any sci-fi with space.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think that somewhere down the line, we're going to have Dan on to talk a little bit more in depth about the organization. So we look forward to that. Yeah.
He's got a lot to say, and he's very passionate about it. I'll just tell you that.
Well, and everybody's got to get a rainbow tribble.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I've got two now.
I got one.
Yeah, they're fun. They're fun. So, and yeah, I don't know exactly what they're going to do in San Francisco because they just finalized the venue. It's at the Vinyl Room in Burlingame, California on Saturday night, not Friday night. So if you're in San Francisco and you're listening to this, you should go.
Jesse will be there. You already have a friend.
Yeah. After all, I am the convention ambassador for the people who need friends.
That's true.
So I'm going to turn the tables for our hosts. What are your next convention plans? Because you guys have, well, I know Jeff has been kind of out and about. I don't, Heather, I think you're kind of,
yeah. Heather owns a business, and Heather just built a new house. So Heather won't be seeing anyone again until very likely STLV. Although I have heard that my buddy Bill from Trek Geeks maybe, ooh, gosh, that might be a spoiler. He may be making it out here for a convention. That's all I'm going to say. And
Nice.
sorry, Bill, if I just told things I wasn't supposed to. But if he makes it to that, then I'll definitely pop over to say hi to him. But yeah, it's unfortunately I don't get around much.
Well, I'm kind of conventioned out right now. Pretty beat. I did Salt Lake City Comic-Con, which was a lot of fun. Bucket list item. I got to meet Dick Van Dyke, so that was pretty amazing.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and I finally got my photo op with Will Wheaton, which I was really happy about. I've been waiting to get to a con with him for a long time, so finally got him. It was a lot of fun. But I think I'm gonna lay low for a while. I was gonna go to New York Comic Con for maybe a day, but it's actually happening now, and I don't have a ticket, so I'm probably gonna skip it, which is a shame because it's only an hour away by train, but it's hectic and it's crowded, and those crowded cons just are way too much for me these days. I get too claustrophobic and overwhelmed. So
I'm like Jeff. I'm like you in the sense that the bigger ones are overwhelming to me, and that's why Vegas is just the right size. Even for the 50th, it's just the right size. But I love going to the small ones, and now that I have the ability to go when I need to, I just it's been fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in San Francisco, and then the cruise, of course, is small. So I'm just like, I'm starting to feel like like I have been mentored by Marina. It's like every time I look into a convention, I see her name. Like she's either been there or is planning to go.
Yeah.
So wrapping back around to the Chicago Con, I'm sure everyone is curious as to whether or not there was any Discovery stuff that went on at Chicago. Now that the Discovery's in full swing, did we get any stuff there, Andy and Jesse?
None.
Wow.
None whatsoever.
None?
Yeah, and it's probably because CBS didn't sponsor it, so I don't think you're allowed to do Discovery stuff unless CBS goes for it. So
that makes sense.
And it's not even really the Star Trek convention; it's the Continuing Voyage. So you'll notice you'll notice the slight differences in marketing now that Discovery is out, and I've only it just because we had such a the whole Axonar thing, it started it, right? So I'm like, I can always see the stuff.
It's the name that shall not be mentioned.
That is all I will say.
The Voldemort of the Star Trek universe.
Yes.
But yeah,
it took me a while to figure out what convoy was. I'm like, why were they using convoy as a hashtag? And then I went to the website and realized, continuing voyages. Okay.
The hashtag wasn't very well
convoy
used.
Chai.
I'm like, what is it again?
Yeah.
And and San Francisco is a Continuing Voyage San Francisco, and I don't know that they've given that a hashtag yet, but
I'm sure it's probably Convoy SF.
Yeah.
Or San Fran.
Yeah. So, but it's still, what I like about the smaller cons too is I always see people who are like me and they were in Vegas, and I'm like, oh, I know you from Vegas. And so I haven't been to one of those conventions yet where I haven't known someone who isn't a Vegas person as well. So
nice.
Yeah. That's what I try to tell, my friend Astrid that went, she's like, well, I don't know who we're going to see. And I'm like, oh, there's this person, that person, this person. You will find friends and it'll work out. So it's good to hear that they're familiar faces.
Yeah. Seems like almost tons of cons, even non-Star Trek cons, we get STLV people traveling to them. So, it's cool. No matter what con you go to, you probably will run into people you've seen in Vegas if you go to Vegas.
You do that, but you also, and Andy, I don't know if you saw this, but you always get also those rare people who don't go outside of their comfort zone. And they're like, you go to that convention in Vegas, that big one? Oh my God. And I'm like, yeah. And
we got that a lot.
And you try to convince them to go then, because that's your challenge.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially considering in Chicago, you don't get the the after hours time just to like hang out, and so instead you're just passing each other like in the hall like all day long, and then after that everyone just kind of goes their separate ways, because there was no like centralized little bar or anything like that, except for one super overpriced bar like in the hotel lobby that was just like super duper tiny, and they were charging like $15 for like a vodka Red Bull.
Oh my god.
And so people were like, yeah, we're not gonna do that. So everyone just kind of went their separate ways. And like the only time I hung out with people from the convention, like outside of the convention, was at the the Gays in Space party, which was like what Jesse, probably like 25 minutes away from the convention.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was not a short drive.
Yeah.
Did they do the transportation for that, like in Vegas, or?
No.
If they did, I wasn't aware of it. I took an Uber. just
I just drove myself.
I
So,
you know
yeah.
I was having fun, so of course I didn't drive myself. And I somehow ended up on a live Facebook Live with 5-year mission. I remember.
Oh, God, we'd been drinking way too much at that point.
Nice.
I was and that, I guess that's like, not to go down again, be a downer, but the other thing is you don't have the 24/7 party mood. You know,
Yeah.
you definitely have end time. And I didn't stay at the host hotel because I learned in Dallas you don't have an end time. You don't have an all night party thing. So you may see a couple people in the bar, some of the celebrities in the bar, but not like you don't have that whole gang. You don't have a masquerade, or anything.
No.
And I mean, that's probably a good thing for a lot of people who just aren't into that scene, because we have a lot of people that remind us, we're not bar people. So it's good for them, but again, just not having that after hours event or camaraderie there. I know that they did have karaoke a couple nights, but it didn't look like they had one night, but did it have a celebrity guest at all? I didn't see a name.
5-year mission got called.
Yeah, well, because that was the thing, because we went, like me, Chris, Mike, and Noah from the band went to the Gays in Space party, and then Billingsley was there, and we were like hanging out with him, had a few drinks, talked a whole bunch to him, and then he was like, "Oh, hey, I gotta go host this whole this karaoke thing. Are you guys going to that?" And we were like, "Yeah, we weren't really planning on it." And then he was like, "You guys should come, sing some songs. You're a band, do your job." And we were like, "Well, we might." And then after that, we get a text from Liz, the stage manager, and she was like, "Hey guys, not a lot of people have been signing up for karaoke, so could you guys come and try to entertain some people and get them to come up on stage and do this?" And we were like, "Yeah, okay." So we ended up doing like 4 or 5 songs for karaoke.
So then it's like we finally get the 5-year mission concert we've always wanted.
There you go.
More or less, yeah.
I missed it because I got to the convention late Friday, like right as the Gays in Space party was finishing up and everything was finishing up, and I got there right as I saw Andy, because that was my whole goal, was to see 5-year mission, and he's like, "Hey, we're gotta go back." I got it. But I heard karaoke was fun. I heard that once the guys got there, they had a lot more fun.
Yes, that is very true. We actually did a whole Facebook Live thing for most of those songs too, and it was atrocious.
Yeah, it was a good time, and again, it's all about these conventions, especially the Star Trek ones. For me, are all about the people more so than the entertainment, and I did enjoy my time with everyone who was there, and I always get to meet new people, and there's always a slew of Facebook friend requests after a convention, so that type of behavior didn't change. That's kind of a thing where you have to go and like, who is this person? Where did I meet him? So, and there was a small contingency from the cruise there as well. So like all my con stuff is kind of mixing up. I'm like, to the point where it's dangerous for me, because I'm like, where do I know you from? Where did I see you?
What's your name?
All I know is that like when I saw Robert Picardo, he I don't know where he gets the memory, but he knows my name because I met him for the first time. It wasn't in Vegas because I was too shy my first year. It was when they had a convention here in Oklahoma City, and I met him there. And my favorite story, I went up to him and I said, he just looked at me, says, "Do you want an autograph?" I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "Okay." And then he said, the lady says it's $35. And I was like, "God, you're cheaper here than you are in Vegas." And he just gave me this look like, I hope that wasn't meant dirty. but yeah, so I think that stayed in his mind because when I saw him on a cruise, he's like, "Oh, Jesse from Oklahoma City." I'm like, "Yeah." And then he saw me in Chicago and told me I get around. So he got back at me. So good for him.
Nice.
But that's the kind of stuff you don't get anywhere. That's a Trek family stuff. So that's why I love this stuff. And the convention goes all year long for me, apparently.
Yeah, I'm a little envious that you get to travel and go to all these different conventions and see all of our Trek family. You've got like a dream life there.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just spent the past 6 weeks not at my house for the most of it, so I think I'm done traveling for a while, unless it's San Francisco's a short weekend. But that was crazy. But I do, I got to tell you, I worked hard to have a job I love, and that's the other thing I like about our Vegas convention is that, like, you guys see it because you're in the Unofficial group, right? Anywhere I go, there's a Star Trek Las Vegas reunion. It doesn't matter what part of the country I'm in, someone's going to be there from Star Trek Las Vegas. So, and we connect. So I love that about my life now and my job and everything. So, and it's all thanks to you guys starting that group and getting me some friends before I got to Vegas, because without that, I would be not as happy right now.
So, well, you guys, do we have any final thoughts about the Chicago convention? So if they host it again next year in Chicago, would you recommend that people go? Andy, Fark, what do you think?
I would definitely recommend it. I mean, like I said, it's way more intimate than it is in Vegas. I mean, if you're really into meeting the celebrities and being able to have a conversation with them, yeah, by all means, definitely do it.
Sweet. Jesse, what do you think?
I agree, and the smaller conventions are great for those who want that more intimate one-on-one time, who don't like the big crowds. And Chicago's so central to a lot of places. Like I can get to Chicago without doing a multiple leg flight. And I can't do very much of that from Oklahoma City. There's very few places that I can go with just one, nonstop trip. So go for it, because if they keep it in the same area, then it's not even, it's so much less expensive than going to Las Vegas, and you don't have to feel like you have to go to the host hotel, because we've already told you nothing happens after hours. So I would go for it, whether you live there or you don't. If you can spend a weekend in Chicago, I would go. Yep.
Oh, very cool. So Heather, any additional questions for the Chicago convention, or?
No, I think they've just about summed it up.
Well, that was really cool. And I guess that brings us to the end of our 33rd episode of Shore Leave. And I guess as we're on our way out, we can each go through our social media contacts. Andy, Fark, do you want to give us some information about where people can find you and 5 Year Mission?
You can find me personally on Twitter at Andy Fark. Not the most creative Twitter handle in the world, but yeah, that's what you get. Then you can find 5 Year Mission on Twitter at 5. That's the number 5 Year Mission. And then 5yearmission.net, and find us on Facebook. Don't find me personally on Facebook.
Jesse Oquendo, where can people find you?
On Twitter, I'm Trekker_Jesse, and I am on Facebook as myself, Jesse Oquendo, and I'm I'm a moderator for the Unofficial Star Trek Las Vegas Convention Group, and you can always find me there.
Well done. Heather Barker, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at LLAPosper, and on Facebook I am one of the three of us, the three amigos, I guess, administrators for the group. So, and like Andy said, don't find me on Facebook.
Same with me. I'll join in on that party. I am Warp Factor Jeff on Twitter, and I'm also the third and final administrator of the Unofficial Star Trek Las Vegas Convention Group on Facebook. You can find our show at shoreleavepodcast.com and also at shoreleave on Twitter if you're looking for us. We'd love to hear your feedback. Thanks again for tuning in to Shore Leave, and we'll see you next time. Hi there, thanks again for listening. If you're cruising the galaxy looking for even more Trek talk, why not visit our good friends Bill and Dan over at TrekGeeks.com? They've got a great podcast that covers a wide range of Star Trek topics, so you're sure to find something you'll love. And if you're in the mood for some awesome tunes, then you really need to head over to 5yearmission.net. The guys are writing a song for every episode of the original series, and each one is absolutely brilliant. So that's TrekGeeks.com and 5yearmission.net. Check them out today.